Well, Gerrard slipped and get the bars in here. Rodriguez again. It's a stunning volley.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to ForTheFans for the second Premier League week. Today we have for you guys fantasy football, cats on football pitches, City v Liverpool, and much, much more. So let's get straight into this.
It's a magnificent sculpture of a gold Benji. It's perfection.
Week 2 is upon us. It's the Premier League. It's ForTheFansShow.com. It's me and Jack. Jack, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Ben. I've enjoyed this weekend's football up until Monday, but we'll get on to that. But
What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I've been watching Sky Sports 5, mate. Now, I don't know if you don't have Sky, do you? Or do you?
I might rub it in. No, I don't.
But Sky Sports 5, they kind of branded it as the home of European football, and I'm thinking, well, this is going to be terrible. But it wasn't, actually. It was pretty darn decent. Sky Sports 5, 7 games in a row on Sunday. I was sat there. Normally, I would have had to have watched Sunderland v Manchester United. Instead, I got to watch PSV v Ajax.
Oh, was that good?
It was, actually. PSV won 2-1. If the
thanks.
score didn't change after the last 2 minutes, because then I did switch over for the Sunderland game.
Okay. Okay, I'm pleased. I'm pleased you had a good week. Right then. Shall we get into it? Fantasy football.
Look, that's not really a good week, though. This ruined my week, fantasy football.
Well, you think you've had a bad week. So let's go through the people we kind of... Okay, so I'm 523rd.
Out
right?
of how many?
About 620.
You mean 6,000, yeah.
No, 600. You're 600,000. You're 479th. So you're like 50 points ahead of me, 50 places ahead of me.
So that'll do me. If I can stay there all season, I'll be a happy man.
This is where it gets a little bit painful. Ellie, my girlfriend, 175th. So she's doing quite well. And friend of the show, Callum Keno, is 32nd. So he's been decidedly smug about that on Skype this week.
We have like a little group, kind of me and a few friends from school that we have with the fantasy football. And one of my friends is top of the league, and he just picked a team based on players that had beards.
Annoying.
So I'm kind of thinking I might just have to pick a bearded team or a ginger team next year, and I might do better.
Yeah. Ellie picked some players she liked, and then just names she liked. And that was how her team was decided, and she's doing far better than my football logical mind. Anyway, let's see how you lot got on, shall we? So, top of the tree this week was Sebastian Dempsey with 78 points, Jack. I've not even got 78 points, and he's had a 78-point week. Such players included Naismith, Dyer for Spurs, Eden Hazard, Aaron Ramsey, Ron Flair. Jordy Wilson, who I will say is topping for the fantasy right now. He had Mata, Costa, Taylor, Jovetic, Tim Krul, to name a few. A lot of these guys kind of shared players. And third is a fellow FM content creator, Simon Rodinho, who got 74 points. Ivanovic, Dyer, Loris, Lukaku, to name a few, and he shared a few of the other ones as well. So that leaves our top 3 to be Jordy Wilson, once again sitting in the top 3 on top, Ben King retaining his top 3 position, and a new entry at number 3, Harvey Jones, is currently 3rd. So, well done to you, boys. This week's flop of the week was the mysteriously named CM with his Barmy Army. He got 15 points this week, and you think that's pathetic. He must have had a dreadful team. I'm going to read his team out, Jack.
I'm bracing myself here.
Sanchez, Cabela, Yaya Toure, Henderson, Mahrez, Joel Campbell, Wayne Rooney, Tim Howard, Morgan from Leicester, Zabaleta, and Kulka. 15 points. I'd be disappointed.
I've got to question the QPR and Leicester defenders. I'm just going to...
Yeah, but...
It feels like he sacrificed his defence and gone all-out attack, and what's happened this week is it's just not worked for him.
Yeah, there'll be future weeks where he does very, very well with that team, just not this week.
I'm just a little bit apprehensive, I've got to be honest, because with fantasy football, for me, normally, I kind of get 4 weeks and I go, well, I'm in 20 billionth, let's just end there. I won't check it for the rest of the year. But this year I have a commitment through ForTheFans. I can't just give up. So I'm like sat there on the Friday night and on the Saturday morning just before the deadline day going, right, where's my one change going to be? So
this is good though. I think it's good for us.
I dropped Coutinho this week. I felt bad doing that, but I did drop him.
I dropped Giroud. We'll come on to him later. Annoying. So let's start off with the main event of the week. totally unbiasedly, the main event of the week. It was first v second in the league from last year. Manchester City 3, Liverpool Football Club 1. But City didn't start the game that well.
Yeah, it reminded me of last year's game where Liverpool kind of, in the first half particularly, looked like the stronger team. Like, possession, I think, was actually in City's favour, but Liverpool just had a lot of energy in the midfield, and there weren't too many kind of killer passes played, but Liverpool looked like the team who really were going for it. They looked like the home team kind of in the first half, up until, of course, Jovetic's goal, which kind of came from a mistake.
Yeah, Liverpool made 3 pretty horrendous errors for all the goals. Mignolet didn't have a great game. Moreno on his debut I thought he actually did okay. I thought, aside from his little sort of lack of clearance, I don't think he was that bad. Glenn Johnson isn't a footballer. He's given up, Jack. He's actually given up.
Well, he's injured now. I'm convinced this hammy hadn't actually gone, or his thigh, or whatever it was that he'd done. He just kind of decided, I had enough, gaffer. Just going to fall on my side.
I don't want to waste any time talking about him because he's given up. So I'm giving up on you, Glenn. You give up on me and I'll give up on you. All right.
I'm sure he's heartbroken.
Well, I'm sure he is. But Jovetic looked very good. He got the first for City, as well as the second. He got the first and second, did he not? And then Aguero got the third. What did you make of Jovetic? Patchy season last season, but this year he's looking pretty good.
He didn't really get given a chance, did he, last year?
Well, he was injured a lot last year, and we shouldn't forget that.
Yeah.
But this season he seems to be one of the main men.
Definitely. And I think last year City were unfortunate because obviously Aguero had a lot of injuries, as did, as you mentioned, Jovetic. And for me, it's like for City, if they keep their players fit, they'll walk the league this year. But my worry is that they won't keep them fit. I feel like them and Chelsea is going to be the close run thing. But as you mentioned, Jovetic, they brought him in last year for a very hefty fee, and he hasn't really shone yet. And I feel like this is going to be the year where he shines. I think there's a lot of players in the Premier League who came in last season who haven't had the best first season in the Premier League, and we're going to come on to a few more later, I'm sure. But I don't know. I feel as if he's got a lot to give, and he's starting to show glimpses of the form he kind of showed in Serie A.
Well, yeah, he was one of the top performers in Italy for a good 18 months. He came to the Premier League. I think a lot of people they didn't really know what to make of him. A lot of people didn't really know who he was, if we're being brutally honest. Obviously, the kind of wider knowing football fan would know who it was, but I'm talking generally, people might not have known who Stefan Jovetic was. But he started the season particularly well. I think it's credit to him that I know Aguero's out injured and Negredo's also out, but he's still got to step up and be good. And to do that against Liverpool, to get a couple of goals, he'll be pleased, as will Pellegrini. On the flip side, what do you do if you're Liverpool about those defensive errors? Because there's not much you can do. They played quite well aside from them.
Well, I actually think the difference between the two sides was just the clinicalness at the forwards.
Yeah.
Because I think City had their own errors at the back, but they just weren't as costly. They weren't as significant to errors, but there were certainly cracks there that other teams will exploit. I think you've got to remember this is the second game of the year, and in that back four you obviously had 2 new signings in Lovren and Moreno. So it's kind of a case of, I'd be worried if this was later on in the season, but given the fact we are 2 games in, a player who signed, this summer and hadn't actually played at all, coming in at left back, and I think also Lovren was playing left centre back. So in that back four, you're kind of looking at 2 names who really, aren't perhaps as well versed with the system, with the players to the right of them, if you can call Glenn Johnson a player. I'm not massively worried because Man City are probably the best attack in the league. I don't want to say behind Liverpool, but last season obviously Liverpool and Man City were the kind of, I guess, kingpins when it came to kind of goal scoring threat. And so
I think Chelsea are in the mix this year as well.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I'm not too worried, if I'm honest. Like, I think it'll come, but it was somewhat reminiscent of last season's Liverpool defence, kind of in the second half of the season when that really shouldn't be happening.
We both said on Twitter that we're not like, this isn't the game that's going to define the season. As fans, I think it's fair that we give a little opinion as fans, because it's like, that's, although we try to be unbiased, it's probably valuable to the podcast for us to say what we think. I don't think losing to City in the second game of the season is that big a deal. And if it had won, I'd have been going mental. So say what you like. There's not much more to say on it, really. Liverpool were poor at the back. City were clinical, as you say, and they look like they might have a very good season. You think they'll win it, do you?
I've actually been back in Chelsea a lot, but I think on the back of that performance, one of the issues City perhaps had last year was their inability to close out some of the games against the bigger teams.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
And so I think that kind of result maybe reaffirms themselves as kind of the favourites for the title this year in my eyes.
That's absolutely fair. Shall we move on to what I think was the performance of the weekend? And it was against QPR, but I think Pochettino has got Tottenham playing some lovely stuff, and they managed to beat QPR 4-0. Eric Lamela, who was just written off last season, played extremely well.
Yeah, and we've got to be honest here, they were absolutely slated last season at Tottenham and their signings for kind of the players that they brought in, for the changes that kind of were done under various managers last year. And I think for Tottenham last year, top four was kind of an expectation almost. I think this year they'll be looking to break into that top four if they can, and they are going to be relying on those players they signed last year to really step up to the mark and adopt Pochettino's system.
Yeah, I think they've got a really good team. I fully expect Tottenham to have a really good year. And I think we said in the preview shows that if Manchester United aren't going to get that fourth place, which is what they're aiming for, then Tottenham definitely will. If Tottenham are challenging for top four, don't be shocked by it. Pochettino has got them right at it. And that's what that is. To be honest, that's all really Tottenham missed last season, was that little bit of hunger and desire. Pochettino's come in and he seems to have given it to them. When Adebayor is running at a kickoff to try and make something of it, you know that he's done something. Because Adebayor's quite lazy, generally speaking, but he looks like he's got them at it. And they've got some very good players. We talk about Lamela, but Eriksen is a top quality player. They've brought Dyer in, who's had a terrific start to the season, grabbing a couple of goals. They look like a solid unit. And I think Spurs fans will be really happy. If you're a Spurs fan, let us know. Are you expecting a really good season after last season's disappointment of 6th place? On the flip side, though, QPR are shit. Yeah,
they are. I loved the fact that Jerry Barton, there was a tweet going around that Jerry Barton put out, I think it was last December, or maybe December, but I'm pretty sure it was last December, basically saying that he was better than the Tottenham midfield, and he's a what was the word he used? He was an above-average Championship centre mid.
Yeah, like he actually didn't have that bad a game in comparison to the rest of his teammates. But they're lacking everything. Did
you see I don't know if you saw the build-up on Monday Night Football, where they were talking about the comparison between the two teams, and I think QPR had 33% of possession, and they ran substantially less on average than the Spurs team had in terms of players. And they were talking about the age of the players, and that was something that Redknapp actually brought up in his post-match conference, was the fact that they just lacked speed and legs.
Well, I would be like, yeah, Harry, you're right. That's a very good point. You've bought them all. You've got 44 players. This is your fault because
you don't know what you're 44?
Doing. I think QPR's squad is 44 players strong.
Damn.
I can't. I'm sorry. I'm going to put it out there. I can't stand Redknapp. I cannot stand him. He acts like, we're going to have to bring a few more players in. You bring players in all the time. And just the wrong ones.
What was the thing he said this week about Malky Mackay? This isn't in the script, but we haven't really talked about Malky Mackay. It's a bit of an edgy subject. Obviously, Malky been in the papers, but what was it? I'm going to read this out, and sorry if anyone gets offended by this, but Harry Redknapp on Malky Mackay, he hasn't murdered or raped anyone, and he's not a paedophile.
That's all right then, Harry. What he said's fine then. Anyway, sorry, Harry, but your team's terrible. You've got to do something. QPR fans, are you worried? You should be.
Maybe Harry knows something we don't.
Yeah, how to sign players. Because he does it all the time and then complains he hasn't got the right players. Infuriating.
Right.
But overall on that, Tottenham, very good.
Top of the league now. Having a laugh.
Loving it. The next game, this is like the third feature game. We're trying to feature like 3 games, I think, each week, generally speaking, and the rest will generally be quite boring. So Everton 2, Arsenal 2. Everton went 2-0 up, and Arsenal, I was tweeting it at the time, Wenger sets up his team sometimes in just bizarre fashion. Just weird.
Yeah,
talk about it.
He does. I didn't get the Sanchez decision to play Sanchez up top on his own at Goodison Park. I can't fathom that thing. Because I kind of almost feel as if Wenger was doing Everton a disservice and really underestimating the threat that they pose.
Yeah, it's like he'd never seen Everton play before. That's what would annoy me if I was an Arsenal fan.
It was like watching your girlfriend that time when she played FM and kind of set up everyone randomly. For me, Sanchez plays actually better out wide on the right, and I know he plays up top for Chile. I actually think he plays better kind of if he's given a bit of more permission to roam. I know when Sanchez came in, a lot of people were talking about him as kind of the the next step up from Theo Walcott. in terms of someone who can play out on the right, but when need be will play down the centre. Giroud was fit for this game. Why isn't he playing? I don't know. Arsenal fans, maybe you know something I don't, but I could not fathom that decision.
Well, at the start of the game, but before the game started, Arsenal fans were loving the fact he'd gone with Sanchez over Giroud. And I can kind of understand that, because Giroud, despite being a good Premier League striker, he's not a great Premier League striker.
He's not an Henry or a Bergkamp, is he?
No, and Sanchez is considered to be a top player. But against an Everton side, which are pretty strong at the back, force those fullbacks backwards. Because they, like, Baines and Coleman's first goal was scored inside the Arsenal 6-yard box, and he's their right back. And that kind of tells its own story, the fact he feels confident enough to go forward and not be attacked.
Do you know who was meant to be marking him for that goal?
Go on.
Metasurza. Why is he out on the left? I don't get it. You've got Sanchez who can play out on the right, you're playing Ozil out on the left. Why is he not playing down the middle? Why is he not a number 10?
Well,
it's like Mata last year. I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant at Wenger.
No, it's all right. It's fine. We're going to talk about Arsenal strikers in a second, because something's happened. On the flip side, Wenger suddenly realised it wasn't working, made a few changes. Cazorla put a ball into, was it Ramsey? It was Ramsey. It was either Match of the Monday Night Football, that I think it may have been Monday Night Football, that Everton's defence looked very tired late in that game. Coleman on the right and Baines on the left, and that's where the goal came from. No one was stopping the cross, and Ramsey managed just to nip in at the back post. And then the same again, Monreal from the left-hand side. Coleman's not out quick enough to him, and Giroud heads it in. So credit to Wenger for changing the game. Like, you've got to give him that. Yeah. It shouldn't get to that point. I think that's the point we're making.
That's a game that, although Everton have certainly kind of asserted themselves as a better team in recent years, particularly under Martinez, it's a game that you look at as an Arsenal fan. Not that I am an Arsenal fan, but you'd expect to win at Goodison Park, really, given...
I'm not 100% sure on that. I think Everton are very good.
I think if Arsenal want to go for the top four, I think they, especially given the players they've brought in, I'd be looking for them. I don't want to do Everton a disservice, but like for me, I don't really rate Naismith. I know he's had a good start to the year, but when I saw him up top at the start of the season, I was a little bit dubious, and I still have a few question marks. For me, Everton are a great side, and they've got some real strength in particular positions, but they also have weaknesses which I think if teams can exploit, they will punish them.
Yeah. I think if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be thinking similarly to how Liverpool and City got on. Like, it won't define, like a draw to Everton will not define their season, and I think there's games that they should be winning and will win that will have a bigger impact, and it'll be the games at home against these big sides that are going to matter. And I class Everton as a big side. They had a very good year last year, so they're in the discussion. In terms of Arsenal strikers, though, Giroud's out for 3 months, if you believe what you read. So that leaves them with Yaya Sanogo and Joel Campbell. Who are they going to get? Arsenal fans are calling for Boney on Twitter.
I'd actually like to see them sign no one. I'd like to see them give Campbell and Sanogo a go.
I would like to see them sign no one, but they can't do that.
Sanogo had a pretty good pre-season.
Yeah, but come on.
Why don't they go for Balotelli? Sorry, shots fired. Well, weren't Arsenal linked with Balotelli for a while? I'm pretty sure they were. We'll get onto the Balotelli transfer at some point.
Apparently Wenger rejected Balotelli. So we'll talk about Balotelli now. Good signing? Happy?
Yeah, it depends on the Balotelli you get.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't feel like Balotelli is a bad person. Like, I think it's often made out that Balotelli is like the devil. For me,
well, he was agent.
Like, for me, he's a rascal. He doesn't do. Okay. He just sets off fireworks in his bathroom. You hear as much about good stuff as you do the bad stuff. If that makes sense. Like, it's not like he goes. It's not like he goes around biting people, and that's that. Is the point I'm making.
Another player that's like sort of, I don't think Arsenal fans will be too pleased with this, but Welbeck, apparently Van Gaal's done with him, so that makes him available.
What about Hernandez?
Well, I'm saying, who would you bring in given the chance? Eto's going to Everton. Would you have liked him at Arsenal? Maybe would he have fitted?
Maybe, but I don't think he'd be a long-term kind of player, and I think they probably need a long-term-ish signing. I know they've got Sanogo and Campbell, who are both fairly young, but yeah. I tell you, would have been a good signing for them, Lukaku. But
yeah, you're right.
That's obviously not going to happen now. Imagine if it did. Imagine the shock.
Talking about transfers, obviously there was other games this weekend, but you know the results. We've said before, you're not coming here for the results. If you are doing, the games happened at the weekend. Go back. Di Maria, £60 million, British record. Is he the answer?
If they play him down the centre, maybe, but I prefer Di Maria out wide. I think he's one of the best crossers of the ball in the world. I think he's like third in the assists in the last 5 years, kind of in major European leagues.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's a great signing. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure he's the answer to United's problems. And also, I feel as if the price that they're paying is a price of desperation. It's a price where Real Madrid kind of know they can milk that much money. I kind of feel like, I think it was one of these, I can't remember which paper it was, but they were talking about the fact that the defeat against Swansea almost added 5 million onto the asking price.
Yeah, that's good because they needed him that much more.
Yeah, and I was sat in the Sunderland game thinking if they lose this now, which to be fair, Sunderland looked pretty good against United. I was sat there thinking maybe it'll be 70 or 80 now. I think he's a good signing, but they need centre backs, and I think I'm not being funny. I don't want to disrespect players here too much, but Stephen Fletcher and Cleverley are not good enough for Manchester United at this point.
Darren Fletcher, I'm helping you.
Sorry, did I say Stephen? Stephen's not good enough either.
He's not going to cut it out either. Yeah. I think the big thing for me is that it's I don't want to feel like I'm just slugging teams that aren't Liverpool, but Arsenal and Sanchez and Di Maria and United are very similar to me. They're fantastic players. They're top players. Di Maria is an excellent footballer, but it wouldn't have been my first priority in the window. Well, not my first priority, but it wouldn't have been one of the main priorities for me in the window. I think both of those teams need another centre back, and it's as simple as that.
For me, if Di Maria's not a carbon copy clone of Mata, but he's a very similar player. Particularly if United are going to play with wing backs, you'd have to assume that Di Maria is going to play down the middle. And at that,
instead of Mata, then?
Well, this is my question. I mean, where does Kagawa fit into this? Where does Anderson? I mean, Anderson's looking like he's on his way out, but I don't feel as if it's like the centre kind of more, kind of a centre mid who's going to take the initiative is top of the Manchester United shopping list. If I was looking for a player, I'd be looking for a Vidal or a Hummels, two rocks in the centre essentially. And given the Smalling injury, which I don't know if it's come out how long he's going to be out for, I mean, you looked at that Manchester United centre back kind of lineup. Who was it? I think it was Jones, Blackett, and Keane by half time. I was sat there thinking, why have they sold Wes Brown and John O'Shea? Bring them back.
Well, they were there. They were on the pitch. They could just swap shirts. You know, when in Sunday League you haven't got enough players and you just end up having to play for the other team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have done that. They could have gone, we'll fill in. We'll play. They know they're
I just didn't get, like, for me, it doesn't really... It makes sense as a signing. I get why Van Gaal's done it, but I actually feel as if they don't pick up anyone else, which I don't want to say United won't because there is still a week left of the transfer window, there is going to be massive kind of holes in their team throughout the season.
Can I make a suggestion?
Make it.
I think he's ditching the 5. I think he's going 4 and he's playing Mata one side, Di Maria the other.
There's been a lot of talk, hasn't there, of the 4-3-3, if that's going to be the answer. Because United fans have said the reason he's playing the 3-5-2 or the 5-3-2 is because they don't have the kind of players to cover elsewhere. If you ask me, I actually think the system that they played kind of at the weekend was the worst system United could play. Because I feel as if the centre-back position is the weakest position for United. And I get the fact they're lacking full-backs.
Yeah.
But they're also lacking centre-halves, and I think that cost them more. Against Sunderland, I mean, when Stephen Fletcher's tearing holes in your centre-backs and kind of pulling people open and there's just massive channels of space for players to burst into, there's an issue, and they just didn't look comfortable with the 3 at the back.
No, I totally agree, and I honestly think he's going to ditch it. I think he's going to go 4, maybe 4-3-3, maybe 4-2-3-1, but I think he's going to ditch it. I don't think he's going to... It may well be because he doesn't get the players in. But I can see him ditching it and playing maybe Jones and Rojo at the back, Shaw on the left, Rafael if he's back on the right, maybe Valencia. I don't know. It's interesting. There's a week to go. We'll see what they do.
United fans are going to be eagerly waiting, hoping there is a name to put on the back of their shirt, aren't they?
Sky Sports News is going to be watched. It's fair to say. Right then. So that covers the Premier League. Oh no, it doesn't, Jack. Sorry, I've missed your favourite.
My story of the week. I love this story just because I'm a sadistic Liverpool fan, so I like to laugh at United fans' pains, even if they're 7 or 8.
So biased, so biased.
But no, there's been a story in the Daily Mail. It's our Daily Mail story of the week. James Collins, 8 years old. He saved up £93.20. Very precise.
I thought it was the West Ham defender, James Collins.
No, I'm afraid not. But he personalised his kit with Januzaj and the number 44 in the summer, and of course he's been given the number 11. and now he's scared to wear it in case he's teased. So his parents have gone to a national newspaper to raise awareness, and I think they're trying to get a refund. I think they're trying to get a refund. But the thing I don't get about this article is, he's there wiping his tears away with his Januzaj 44 shirt, obviously the number 11 not on the back of it, and he's wearing the United away kit.
I will say, if you're spending £90 on an 8-year-old's football kit, you've got too much money anyway. And
the fact they've bought the away kit too, and he's wearing the full away kit.
Yeah, I've got little sympathy for any of this. I've got to be honest. There's just a really sad picture of him holding the shirt. Just like, I can't wear it now. It's ruined. It's not. Just wear it. It's fine. No one's going to laugh at you. You're 8 years old. You're not going to see a grown man of 55 going, oh, you stupid knob. Look at you fool, you bloody idiot. Don't worry about it. You're fine. Just wear it. No one's going to laugh at you, James. Okay? That's my words of wisdom to James. It'll be fine.
I just love the fact that it's considered a news story.
Well, it's not, is it? It's bollocks. What paper is it from?
Daily Mail.
Yeah, bollocks then. Obviously bollocks. Right then, let's move on. There's no Scottish Cup news, Jack.
When's the next round of the Women's Scottish Cup? Do we know, or is that just one of these things where we'll probably read about it on Twitter and then we'll report on it as a result?
Hopefully that'll happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a similar league to Scotland. We're going to go to Spain. I'd love to say we'll talk about Vanarama, Jack. I'd love to say we'll talk about the Vanarama conference, but they've let everybody down. They've not got in touch. They did tweet us and follow us.
They did, so we've made a connection there.
Yeah, but there's no sponsorship yet.
We need a new company, don't we? Should we try Domino's Pizza?
So we can't just pick one that you like. No, I think we'll hold off a week. We'll give them a week to consider it, and then if they don't, then we'll go again. We'll go for another one.
Another company, right? So if you've got any suggestions, you can tweet at the ForTheFans show. Preferably a smaller company who might actually realistically sponsor us, or unless they're a pizza retailer, that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
A pizza retailer. I don't think that's an actual thing. I can't imagine going into a shop where it's just pizzas on every aisle.
Yeah, trying pizzas on. So in Spain, Real Madrid and Barcelona have started the Liga very well. They've both got the wins, whereas Diego Simeone's Atletico Madrid drew away at Rayo Vallecano. Now, the point was made that Simeone loves to talk about budgets. He's all about the budgets, Jack, because he's obviously fighting against Madrid and Barca. The fact came out that the Rayo team, guess how much it cost?
How much?
Nothing.
Nothing. So it was just a team of free transfers.
It was a team of free transfers and academy products. So Simeone looks a bit daft, but he wasn't actually on the sidelines, Jack. He was sat having a cup of coffee or whatever he was doing in the stands. And did you see why?
I did see why. Did you see why?
I have seen why.
If the viewers didn't see why, go check it out. He slaps someone on the back of the head, except he doesn't slap them. He punches them, except he doesn't punch them. He pats him on the head condescendingly. Yeah,
it's not. He's been banned for 8 games. So a leg-breaking tackle is less severe than Diego Simeone kind of patting a linesman on the back of the head. It is it's quite demeaning and sarcastic, but it's a pat on the back of the head.
You've got to compare it to I know it's different because it's a manager, but like Olsen in the Championship pushed the ref, didn't he, and got a 3-match ban.
Yeah, that was worse than what Simeone does.
Well, Simeone taps him twice. Is that like, I don't know, does that add up?
Double the punishment.
Maybe.
Surely not. In which case, how difficult is it going to be? He's got 7 more games to do this ban with. How difficult is it going to be for Simeone's Atletico this year? It's second season. They are the title holders, but Madrid have bought, Barca have bought, and Atletico, to me, have replaced rather than strengthened. So how difficult is it going to be?
It's not easy. I mean, you looked at them in is it the Spanish Super Cup or the equivalent of that, where they play over 2 legs? It has a fancy name. I watched it on Sky Sports 5. They're new.
you love Sky Sports 5.
Maybe we can get them to sponsor us. I'll tell you what, can I just go on a rant here? Okay, so back in the golden days of Sky Sports, 401 was Sky Sports 1, and it went to 404, which was Sky Sports 4, okay? Bear with me.
Atletico related.
No, we're going to get to that, but I just want to go on a rant here. They've changed it now. They've made a new channel called Sky Sports HQ, which is Sky Sports News glamorised, okay? They put that on 401. So now 402 is Sky Sports 1, and 406 is Sky Sports 5. It annoys me. Sky, sort it out.
Do you know what you regularly say to me on Twitter and Skype?
What?
First world problems.
This is a first world problem. If you watch Sky and you've been annoyed by this, please write to them. Write to them and plead to them to sort it out.
All right. Well, talk about Atletico, please.
Mandzukic played very well. He got the winning goal in the Super Cup. He's going to be huge for them this year, because I feel as if Diego Costa, I don't want to say he carried Atletico Madrid, but certainly his goals were a huge factor, and if they had had Torres up front, they probably wouldn't have scored half the goals they scored.
Yeah.
And so I feel as if Mandzukic is kind of the make or break player for them actually this year.
Okay, no, I would agree with that. We're talking about transfers and the fact Barcelona have brought some in. Not for much longer, Jack. They've been banned. That's going to hurt them after making around 100 million worth of transfers this summer.
I love the fact they were banned from transfers. They got rescinded. They signed a banned player, and then his ban's been kind of softened, and now they're banned again.
Yeah. What is going on? Why is this? I'm gonna be honest. I'm a fan of Barcelona. I like the football. I like the way they're I like the way they're run. Not that I know much about it, but to me, they've always if there was a Madrid or Barcelona sort of argument, I would always side with Barcelona. But this is bollocks, Jack. This isn't fair. This actually isn't fair. How have they got away with it? Not only that, but they're allowing cats on the pitch.
Should we talk about the cat?
You love the cat.
I do. If you don't know what happened, you just sit there going, why are they talking about cats? Why were there cats in the intro? Was it Elche v Barcelona?
Yeah.
And there was a cat on the pitch. 1 minute in, first game of the season, a black cat appears. Out of nowhere, it's just the camera pans to him and he's kind of morphed out the ground. And they spend the next minute and a half trying to get this cat off the pitch.
Do you know what annoys me about the double standards in football?
Tell me more.
He's not going to be banned from entering grounds.
He's not.
And he probably. And I want to know how he bought a ticket.
Yeah.
Because I've tried to buy tickets for Barcelona. It's
for your cat as well.
Not for my. I've not got a cat. Mum's allergic to cats, so we stay away from cats. But yeah, he's got a ticket which is very difficult to get hold of, and he's invaded the pitch, and it's just going to be fine. Oh, la, la, that's funny. When someone does it in a World Cup final, outroar. Did
you hear there was an issue? Well, there was two things I want to talk about. The first one was the commentator who sits there and goes, "Oh, look, Sunderland have popped up on the pitch."
That's quite quick.
I'm sat there thinking he's planned for a black cat. He's maybe planted that on the pitch just so he can seem like a comedian.
Yeah, that's good. That could have happened.
But the other thing I wanted to talk about was, I can't remember what website it was now. I've done a quick search and I couldn't find anything. But basically, there was a website. It was one of these ones where they do the text updates, on what's happening in the game. And rather unfortunately, the guy typing the live updates forgot to put the word cat in his first post. So it said, "A black has run onto the pitch." And there was outroar.
It's not racist, it's a mistake. I'm not laughing at the racist undertones. That's quite funny.
And do you know what? There's a third thing here, actually. Shout out to the Patreon of the old ForTheFans intro, Ray Hudson.
Oh, okay.
That was his first commentary back for the season, Barcelona, and he was going mental about the cat. He loved it.
He noticed you'd taken over his spot on the ForTheFans intro.
I know, so I've just hijacked that.
I'm out. When you said, I was looking online and I couldn't find it, I genuinely thought you were going to say, "Oh, the cat's been posting pictures with the police in his cell."
He's been doing selfies. He actually ran onto the pitch to take a selfie with Messi.
Awful. Mascherano chases after the cat in quite an aggressive fashion.
I like the fact the cat kind of did a few laps, then it just got tired and kind of just like, yeah, you can take me off now, I've had my moment.
Yeah, you're right. Elsewhere in Spain, there's quite a nice story in Spain. Eibar, is that how you say it? Do you think? Eibar. They've got a stadium capacity of 5,000, and they're sponsored by a local scrap metal company, which rely on loan signings due to their tiny budget. We're talking about budgets before. They don't have one. It's so small they don't really have one. And yesterday, in their first game in La Liga, they had got back-to-back promotions. They beat Real Sociedad 1-0. What a moment that is.
That's pretty incredible. That reminds me of the Luzenac story in France this year, which is like the village.
It was back-to-back promotions from the Segunda, and it reminds me of when Real Oviedo did it in my Football Manager save on stream. That's what it reminded me of, Jack.
Did it? Well, yeah. Can we talk about Luzenac real quick? Because Fabian Barthez...
I thought you were going to say, can we talk about your save for a minute?
No,
go on then.
No, I won't bring up when I beat you as Oxford on it.
Okay, Luzenac.
But we've talked about them a little bit off podcast. I forgot what we were doing for a second. I'm sat there going, what is this we're recording for? But they're a village in the French second division, I believe, and they're having to go to Toulouse. I don't know France particularly well, but they're a village with 500 people and they're in the second division. And it kind of reminds me of Eibar, except they've got Fabian Barthez as their director, so that explains everything. I forgot
Does
where he
it?
was. I reckon he's hit because this team's based in the Pyrenees Mountains. Do you reckon
think
Barthez has gone there to hide from United fans?
Maybe. It seems a weird place for him to go.
It's just a really bizarre. I like to think that they just kind of footballers go to the Pyrenees for skiing holidays and they kind of hijack them as players and force them to play.
Okay, well, I don't know where you've gone.
I don't know either. Where am I?
Okay, well, so on the cat going onto the pitch, we're just going to go quickly back to the cat. If you've seen an animal on the pitch, it could be a player, you know. That's this week's question of the week. We'll read out the best ones. We would read out the answers to last week's question of the week, but not enough of you cared. So this week, care about the question of the week, please. It's important. And make sure you're updating your fantasy football teams. And that, Jack, I think the show's a little bit short today, is it?
It is a little bit, just a tad.
That's okay, though.
That's not an issue. We can live with that. It means people have less time to worry about what's going on in the world. They can sit on the bus and listen to the podcast in one sitting.
Enjoy it. That's what I say. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/ForTheFansShow, twitter.com @ForTheFansShow, youtube.com/ForTheFansShow. There's a theme here, everyone. And if you need to go back and find all of that, www.jack.
ForTheFansShow.com.
Lovely. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of this week's show. I enjoyed it, Jack. Thank you for your company.
Thanks, man. I wish we had a cat or a Patreon of the show. I mean, I want a cat, basically.
You want to be sponsored by a cat, don't you?
Yeah, can we get on board with the cat? Maybe you can pay us.
Maybe. All right, from me, Ben, and my co-host, Jack.
We'll talk to you guys in a bit.